Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns first show for Survivor 45. I cannot believe we're here already. Like watching like Big Brother like way later this year. I keep seeing these promos for Survivor 45, and I'm like, that's like a distant problem to worry about. Like, it's fine. It'll be here eventually. But I feel like Survivor 45 has like crept up on us, and I've spent like all day like getting to know these castaways, and I'm so excited for us to be here to draft them into my weekly meltdown existence. We take our drafts very seriously here, and just
I don't know if we take much seriously here.
But we do take our drafts seriously.
That's true. We're like, our drafts are everything, and then it's like our coverage. But like, we'll be like, so anyway, so let's talk a little bit about what happened in the episode. Do you think they did an aqua dump over there? Like that's the kind of shit that we literally. Well, that didn't even that there, but
yeah.
So are we taking them seriously?
Well, I take these drafts very seriously, and I know that Allison does as well. Just a quick disclaimer: Allison was supposed to be here tonight, but she found a kitten that needed some emergency vet care, so she is off being a wonderful human being and saving this kitten's life. So I'll like talk like the format for the draft and everything with this like little last minute change. But first, I wanted to introduce our guest for today. We have Scally from RHAP. How are you doing, Scally?
Yeah.
Hello. I'm doing great. I am excited to be talking about Survivor, even though I also can't believe it's already here. It feels like it is months away, but yet it is 24 hours. But more so, I'm excited to be here with both of you finally talking about a reality TV show.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm really excited too because the last time I talked about Survivor with Scally was when we were doing the South Pacific coverage for the Survivor Top 40 seasons for RHAP. And so good to be back in the saddle with Scally here tonight. And we've done varying levels of prep for this draft. Some people have taken the initiative to do proper homework, Tyler. Some people have listened to interviews at 3 times the speed right beforehand, Scally. Some of us have looked at photos, Beth. And so that's where we're at tonight. But before we get going, we do need to say hello to the people in the chat. We say hello to Kylan, to Heather Jean, and to Joseph Boza. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And we are so excited to break down how this draft is going to work.
Yes. So without further ado, here is our draft for this year. We have some changes a little bit, you know. So Allison, as the back-to-back winner of these Survivor drafts, she picked Gabler, and she also picked who won last year? Jesus.
Oh my God.
Thank you. See, it's just like
Scally only tweeted his photo every single week.
My boy.
Listen, Modern Survivor is just like blending all together for me. Yeah, so Allison got to pick the order. So she has picked Scally, Beth, myself, and her. So since Allison is not able to make it tonight, what we're going to do is Scally will go first, and then Beth, and then myself. And we'll do it snake style. So I will go again, and then Beth and Scally twice until our teams of 4 are filled. And then after that, we will decide maybe with like some chat influence for you guys too. We will pick between the 6 remaining to make up Allison's team, right? Allison has been so successful in these drafts. Like we just figured we needed to give her like a little like in golf terms, like a little handicap here. So then after like that group of 4 is picked for Allison, there will be 2 remaining undrafted members. And so if there's any like medevacs, if Bruce busts his head once again this season, hopefully not. But if there's any medevacs or quits, we will inherit one of those 2 undrafted people.
You know what we should have done ahead of time is texted her and said, send us one name. Who's the one person you want on their team? And that could have been a gimme for her. But
I did get a winner pick, so I want to save that for the
okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
When she like panic called me, I was like, okay, yeah, save the kitten, but like give me like one name.
You said, listen, I love that you're trying to like save a life here, but this is what we're in. So
that has to be the kitten's name now.
Yes. Oh my God, that's true.
That's
yes.
so cute.
I love that. All right, so without further ado, we're gonna kick this off with the first pick of the night. So, Scally, give us your first pick and tell us why they're winning Survivor 45.
All right. Wow. First overall draft pick is so nerve-wracking. I did listen to all of the Rob and Mike interviews, my standard 2x podcast speed. And I've done a little bit of research. It was the last minute 3x research that was just putting me over the top. Not fully there, but there's one person that I've just felt really good about all the way through, and nothing that I've seen has made me come away from that feeling any differently. And so I think pretty popular winner pick, but I'm gonna go Kellie for my first round draft pick.
No, she was my first pick, Scally. No.
Oh, she was definitely in my top 3, so that's such a good pick.
I'm so depressed right now. So, my draft is in shambles already. It's giving BB25 already. So Scally, why Kellie? Why does she stick out to you?
Oh, she's just very personable, but not too big of a personality. She is the right amount where I think she's fun and personable, but she is not overwhelming. I think that she can hide a little bit in the background. I think that this is a very young cast, and so even more than usual. I think it's skewed a little bit younger than the usual perfect average age. So I think 30 is actually a very good spot for Kellie here. She's very used to high stress situations, being a critical care nurse in New York City through COVID. I think that Kellie has basically everything that it takes. Seems like a very well-rounded player, and I think that she's pretty well set up on her tribe for the early game. So all of the above points to good things for Kellie.
I definitely agree. Kellie's actually one of the few people I normally wait until the season has actually started, the premiere, to go through. And I normally don't actually follow a lot of reality TV contestants, but I hit that follow button because her Twitter has been, and I refuse to call X, her Twitter has been incredible. I love just the little throwbacks to some of the Survivor idols that she has, and her little, I'm a Kellie with a different spelling again. Does that mean a good thing or a bad thing? Let's try to switch up the luck here. And, I like the vibe. I really, really do. I think exactly what you're saying, Scally, that she's going to be able to bring social adeptness to the game, but also I don't think is going to be a flashy target for anybody. And even in this photo, again, we're going to do the photo poses when it comes to Beth. In this photo, even so, I'm sure posed by production, she seems at peace, relaxed. There's a sense to her that she's ready for the game. And so that's what I like to see when you're probably hyped up on nerves and everything for the press day.
There was another picture of her carrying a log on the beach or something, and it was so Australian Survivor coded for some reason. That was the vibe I immediately got from her. I just I love that she's also kind of a new fan. In modern Survivor, it is so super fan heavy that I feel they play a little too hard and then shoot themselves in the foot sometimes. I feel being more a casual fan that binged all the seasons during COVID, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, because you've seen all of the seasons, but you're not years deep in super fandom opinions. You know what I mean? You still have a fresh mind for Survivor. And I just loved all of her answers too about being super adaptable. And I loved her quote saying nurses are tough, but we're also empathetic, comforting, and vulnerable. And I think that's a really good deadly combination if she's aware of it.
I'm sorry, another famous nurse that played this game was Suri Fields, and what?
She did mention Suri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
She said her number one that she wanted to play was Kellie Wentworth, because she really admired her tenacity. So just all good things across the board. I also think her age is good. She's 30 years old, so she's not the youngest buck, but she's not like an old geezer on the cast either. You know what I mean? She's right in that sweet spot. There are so many 26-year-olds on this cast. Literally half the cast is 26.
My favorite.
So I like that she's a little older than that.
I love that Survivor has never ever been besides maybe Rudy was here's an old geezer to put on the cast. Certainly not women. Normally the women are oh, I'm so old, I'm 40 on this show, and you're oh, okay, whatever. It's old.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I'm just yelling at you because Allison's not here to do it for you.
Yes, no, I need that in my life. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so Scally, great first pick. I'm so upset.
Thank you.
Scally is gone. So Beth, go ahead and make your pick.
I have loved just this person's vibe from the moment I've looked at photos. This is another person that I don't even know if I formally followed or not on Twitter, but I've seen quite a few tweets come up onto my feed, and I just get a good vibe that this is somebody that's not going to hold back punches, but I don't necessarily think is going to be somebody that fades into the background, is not going to, I don't think they're going to be like leading the charge, but I also don't think they're going to be rolled over in the game. And that's J Maya. I really like the vibe that J Maya gives. And I also just like people who I feel like have nice, fun personalities. If you look over the past few seasons, the people who have won have absolutely been people who stand out in some capacity. And so I'm here for my girl, Jemaya.
I think this is an interesting first pick. I feel like it's kind of giving like recruit a little bit.
I'm tired of that.
But I don't know. Like her story is interesting, right? Like she's like faced like a lot of like cultural pressure and like pressure from her family to like pursue this like degree at Harvard, and she said hell no to all of that. She wants to pursue singing instead. Good for her for living her life the way that she wants to, and I hope that she brings that independence to Survivor as well. I just feel like she's going to be too like friendly for everybody. Like I don't see her being like the mover and shaker this season.
I can see that.
I like her a lot. I love that on a cast, like in the new era where it's all like super fan, someone who like used to watch the show and only picked it back up during COVID, like becomes the de facto recruit of the cast, kind of. I think that everyone else, like she seems pretty well prepared, but I think everyone else just seems a little more well prepared than J Maya. I really like her. I think she's a super fun personality. I think if she can make the merge, like dangerous, awesome, really great. I worry about her in the first couple weeks, honestly.
Sure.
And that's where I'm scared for her, but super fun personality that I'm excited to watch.
Yeah. I think that makes complete sense. She's somebody that, again, just by looking at purely the website, right? She just screams, I think I will get in with people genuinely for the first couple of votes. And that's where I've kind of seen, okay, I think that she can, if she can make it her inroads there, and with like a younger cast that is around her age and with that personality, I think that she'll be able to integrate herself well so that she's not a huge target, unless she flops so hard in the challenges that they're like, get out of here.
All right. Well, my first pick now. So I'm picking somebody first who, like, I don't know why I'm like on an Australian Survivor kick like this draft. Like I've brought it up like a million times already. Maybe it's because we have 90-minute episodes and that's like giving me that kind of like structure instead. I don't know. But so my first pick of the night is going to be Sean. I really liked Sean's profile. Like there was one quote in particular that really stuck out to me. He said, something I really value in my everyday life as a school principal is diverse perspectives. And I think like that is such a great microcosm of like how to do well in Survivors, like getting in the mindset of other players and understanding like what is like the most beneficial for their game and how you fit yourself into that puzzle. I want him to like have like some fun on this island too. Like I want him to give me like a little like King George energy, if that makes any sense. Like I want him to be a little villainous, but I think he's smart enough and aware enough to play it right, kind of like King George. He said he's used to dealing with he's a gay ex-Mormon, and also like Todd was like a big inspiration for him as well. So like I know he's like done his homework with like Survivor seasons and stuff too. But he said he's used to dealing with Mormons and conservatives and really bridging the gap of being the first like out gay principal in his area. So I think like if he can overcome like something like that in his everyday life, I feel like he's going to be a very adaptable person that a lot of people could bring in for alliances. So I like Sean a lot. I'm going with him for my first bit.
I really liked the words he chose to describe himself as connection seeker, ambitiously minded, those kind of things. Because I think that obviously relate really well to the game of Survivor. And I can always tell that somebody has their head in the game with the press if they start using ways to describe themselves, even if they're not necessarily the first thing you would think of when you think of that person, but for the game. That means that they're focused, they're ready to go. When you have somebody who's like, I'm happy, I'm energetic, or whatever, they're like, okay, that's great. You're not going to be energetic in like 6 days when you haven't had rice. So I feel like when you're thinking about connections and ambition and having magnetic energy, like those are all things that are going to manifest themselves in the game. I also have to give props to anybody who is a school administrator or a teacher or anything nowadays, like being able to roll with punches. And, you know, it's clearly he's used to adversity and having to deal with the bureaucratic aspects of education while also trying to, you know, be a welcoming presence and a bridge builder. I think this is a great pick. I'm interested to see how he integrates himself in the cast.
I love Sean. I really, really like him. And I do think, while I do think that like being queer, like Kelly, also makes you inherently younger. I do think that being 35, it's a fact, being 35 on this cast is going to stick out a little bit. And I'm looking at his tribe in particular. And I think that a lot of the other people I see clicking very easily, and I don't know exactly where he fits here. And that's the only reason where, like, I am high on Sean as a person and potentially as a player. I am worried for him on this tribe, and that dropped him down a little bit for me, where I see a couple other people clicking automatically. I know in their, like, who do you, like, first impressions on Ponderosa, like, who are you noticing? I didn't hear a lot of people talking about Sean as who they wanted to be working with yet.
I didn't check out like tribe dynamics or anything yet. I only looked at like individual profiles, so maybe I should have done that beforehand. But
looks like you weren't as prepared as you thought you were, Tyler.
Right? How dare I?
Meanwhile, everything that is said today is new for me to hear, so I'm excited about it.
Hopefully he finds like the birdcage idol or whatever. I don't know. We'll see.
And he might fit in, like, there are just like duos I'm seeing, and like even maybe trios, but like he could be the third or fourth person in that alliance like super easily. And like, I just don't see that. I just didn't have like that one person I saw for him necessarily just yet.
Yeah. Sure. All right. Well, my next pick is going to be somebody that like I feel like Sean has like the social and strategy down. So I wanted somebody that
I know exactly who you're choosing next.
Who do you think?
Ooh.
I think you're choosing Austin next.
I'm not.
What?
I thought too.
Yeah. No, not that physical.
I was like,
underrated. I feel like underrated physical. Like that's like too much muscle for Survivor. Like I feel like those guys don't do very well. You know what I mean? Like we don't like. Yeah. Jonathan did well, but all right. Well, my next pick is Dee.
Oh.
Ooh.
So I wasn't really high on her until I saw like the interviews, and like I just really loved her energy in person so much more than her like interview questions. Like of course, like in her questions, like she talked about like her family like being from Cuba and moving to Florida to like give her a better life, and like I love that. She's a CrossFitter. She ran a marathon on a whim. Like I feel like this gal is just like very fit, but also like she feels like somebody that's going to be perceived as like a really good like team player, like a really solid alliance member, no matter what group that she's a part of. She just gives off a lot of like strong, like fierce, like loyal vibes to me. So I like it's really like Beth. I'm like I'm channeling like your method here, but like I'm just going off of vibes for Dee. Like I feel like she's got like just like a good, like strong, like solid head on her shoulders and like very like physically fit. So I feel like she'll do well in challenges too.
Well, I will tell you that's not the vibe I get from her.
Okay.
I get mini Karen energy from her, especially when you get like CrossFit and all that stuff. Now that I've learned that, I'm like, okay, this is only further help. Like this is somebody who's going to be like, you're either with me or you're against me, and then like make she's going to be. I feel like just the vibes, what I'm reading here. Injustice to children is like so specific that I'm like, okay. What do you mean by that? Are you somebody who's going to be like, are we going to have some weird, like, anti-LGBTQ stuff? Now, this is all speculation. This is not correct. So don't go out there and say that. But, like, that's the kind of stuff where, like, I just read little things and I go, I can't wait to see how this manifests. It very well could be, like, she's awesome in so many different ways, and that's right. But when I see CrossFit and I see the I just know so many Connecticut people. Like who fit this like little vibe, right? The like I go and I work out and I have my smoothie and I do my thing. That's the energy I get from her from this photo, and I hope that she just proves me completely wrong. So that's the vibe I get. That doesn't mean she won't do well in the game, but I could see if she's not yielding at all that could be a problem for her.
I think you're wrong. I think that she seems, from what I've gathered, I really, and I'm going to phrase it very carefully, I like her a lot. Dee seems great. I am going to say that she seems like one of the nicest people on the cast. In her tribe dynamic, I think that she is set up very well. I think that she's going to be super strong in challenges and is going to be kept around for that reason. I have a tough time seeing a majority forming here that she is not involved in and that she is not towards the top of. I think that she is, like, again, super nice, super personable. Where I struggle a little bit is she going to be cutthroat enough at the end and like cut who she needs to cut necessarily and like make an aggressive move? I don't know that yet. And I haven't gotten that from her in the preseason, but that doesn't mean it's not like within her.
Right. I hope to God that I'm wrong. Absolutely. I want it to be like, Beth from My Weekly Meltdown is so like prejudiced and blah, blah, blah. And I want that. Give me that headline in that press.
Well, like I could see it going either way because like I did break my own rule. Like, you know how I hate when people describe themselves as an entrepreneur. She did describe herself as an entrepreneur and I still picked her. So that's like how like high I am on her like energy or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see. This is a test for my theory about not picking anybody that calls themselves an entrepreneur.
Well, we'll see what happens. I think it would be really funny if she like. I don't think it would be funny if she got voted out first. I don't think it's ever funny when someone gets voted out first. That's always heartbreaking. But I do think it would be funny for you in this situation if you're like, I broke my rule and she went out first.
That would just confirm like that this theory is like not even fiction; it's fact. All right, so Beth, go ahead and give us your second pick here.
I have to go for the pick of anybody who is a fan of reality television. No, I'm just kidding. For anybody who's been involved in the OR community, you know his name. I'm going for Brandon Donlon here. Brandon is somebody who I have seen play a couple of different times and is very social, a lot of fun, not afraid to make a move. And I think he could either go really far in this game or could completely overplay and get out relatively early. I think that he will give good, confessions and such. And I think that'll be really great. Confessionals, not confession. I also hope for confessions. That's always fun. Ooh. He is talking about his grandfather robbed a bank or whatever. But I just think that, he's got a lot to offer. He's got a lot of strategy and social insight that I'm interested to see how that comes about in an intense game like Survivor and not behind a computer screen.
Do you share his pet peeves? He says his pet peeves are adult men who have Snapchat and people who message me hi when they need something from me. Lead with your request. I totally agree with that second one in particular.
1000%. Okay, I'm going to put this out there now. If anybody has my number, I know both of you do, but if anybody else here has my number and you ever text me, if you say hi and then just wait for me to say hi, but I hate that. Just like tell me, hi, I was wondering if blah, 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 blah. I don't have time to go back and forth for a long time. I've got 23 college-age students that are texting me at any given time because they're trying to figure out what's going on in their own lives. And then I've got to tell them these same things like, hey, maybe next time you just put the response all in one rather than 6 different lines. Like, do that kind of thing. So yes, no, that I'm so on board with that pet peeve.
Yeah, I didn't really have a strong like first impression of him, but like now that I know he's like done like orgs and stuff like that, that makes me like a lot higher on him. So I don't know. We'll see how he does. Scally, what do you think?
I love Brandon. Like, he's so nice. I think, like Beth has said, having seen him play a couple orgs, I think that he like has the mind for the game. I think he is incredibly personable, just like
Mhm.
so easy to get along with. I think he could blend in with just about every personality type. I think that even people, in that first impressions preseason are saying like, oh yeah, the guy with long hair and glasses, like that's who seems like really warm and like I want to work with. And I think just like that general vibe is going to give like it's going to take him far, like in the early game. My worry with Brandon is if he like gets in a spot that he has to like dig himself out of, like
Mhm.
that's where I'm a little worried. I think that he can set himself up like very well. I'm worried about like, you got to be quick, you got to figure this out, like you're in a bad spot and you got to do something. I think that's great. I did also go back and see like, when have I talked to Brandon in the past? What was the first? And I think the first thing we ever talked about was be saying like, why are you saying you want to bring big threats to the end so you can beat the best? Just take them out immediately because you already
Right.
beat them. So I was like, hopefully we've learned that lesson already and we don't have to repeat that. Let's not bring someone who is a bigger threat to you to the end and lose. But I have faith. I think that Brandon is going to do very well. And I think that like, throw him on 100 seasons and I have like faith that he'll do very well on many. It's just like, I see places where he could fall.
I don't know why, but I thought you were going for like that Lady Gaga quote, like there could be 100 people in a room or whatever. And I was like, throw him in 100 seasons. And I was like, wait, how's that going to end?
I thought Scally was going to say, I was looking at my first message with him and it was a hi without leading with a
That would have been iconic.
Right.
I'm here for that. I just think too, I've seen him get out of messes that he has created in orgs using this kind of like, oh, mea culpa, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm doing kind of stuff. And it's so endearing that I actually think that if it's good timing and if he can execute it well, I feel confident he can get out of it. But I do think his tendency will be to overplay. Because I think it's when you're living the game, it's a little different. And I think a lot of, super fans in the past, whatever, who've gotten on the show can overplay this very easily. And I think that he has enough agency. I think he'll have enough physicality and such that people will probably already be looking at him for different reasons. So I just worry about that aspect with him.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me, having just watched Suri and Izzy like over game on Big Brother for weeks at a time, and all the Survivor players being like, "This is what Survivor's like. This is what you don't see. This is what we're doing 24/7." Overplaying that, wow, okay. But some people still manage to do it, so we'll see.
Oh God.
All right. Well, Scally, you have the next two picks, so
Ooh.
Go ahead and give us your first of two.
All right. I am going to take another person that I feel really, really good about. I'm taking Jake off the board. He seems, again, super funny, super personable. I could see him getting along with many different types of people. I think that he is like set for the early game and doesn't jump out. He's not like an obvious threat, like right on paper.
Mhm.
So I think as long as, I know he plans on like doing little white lies about his job. And so I think he's saying that he wants to say he's a public defender. So as long as he can keep his story straight there, like great, because I feel otherwise very, very good about Jake.
Yeah.
I was getting very like just like your standard like Boston like bro until I like read his profile and saw that he was into theater, Dungeons and Dragons. He lost like 80 pounds in high school. Like I feel like he's gonna be a very adaptable chameleon to like whatever the group that he's in like needs him to be. So I think this is a great pick, Scully.
Yeah.
I think he, as long as he doesn't, this is going to sound awful, but as long as he doesn't appear like a lawyer, I think he'll be fine. Like he won't come across as like threatening to people's games. I think that I don't see him as like a Kane or was it David a couple seasons ago? Daniel, that's what it was, a couple seasons ago, who was also a lawyer. I don't see him in either one of those two factions. I see him kind of like a blend in the middle, which I think is a really good blend to have for a game like this, where you can be like, hey, I was a nerd, or I am a nerd, and that kind of thing, and kind of get together with like all the other nerds. Or you could be like, oh yeah, I have a white collar job and blah, 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 and get together over here with these other people. Like, I think that that's really good for this game, but as long as he can teeter that line, which I think he could do when I'm looking at his bio and everything, it sounds like, I mean, I now know he makes the best homemade pizza in the world, so he's got my vote.
There you go.
You know?
All right, Scally, go ahead and give us your next pick.
All right. I'm so torn because low key, I might get the top 3 on my board. But
Okay, all right.
I know, but I'm worried because it's another Blue Tribe member. And I feel scared to go all in, but I really like this person. I'm going to take the other lawyer. Give me Katurah off the Blue Tribe.
Yes. I love her.
She seems great. I think that she seems like, again, low key, where she's not going to pop up as an obvious threat. There's certain people on this cast where I just think you look at them and like, you can't let them go too far. And whether that be like looks wise or personality wise or just like how they've been apparently acting at Ponderosa. And I just don't think that Katurah's ever coming up in that scenario. I think that she is going to be like a good middle alliance member, and while everyone below her and above her gets taken out at various points of the game, she's going to be left standing and like convert on that win equity that she has available to her.
I have chosen her for pretty much every other draft I've done, and I was like, okay, if she comes around to me, I will choose her, because I completely agree with you, Scally. I feel like even just like this picture right here, like there's some people I just get such energy from them in a particular way. It just exudes confidence, and I think that, I mean, I know a lot of, like, look to the lawyer to her left. It's not that he doesn't appear confident, but there's just like something like more, she just has a more fierce confidence about her. I don't know how else to say that. And I think that could be really good in a game like Survivor. But if people feel that and they sense it too much, that could be a downfall too. So that's why I'm like, I hope she does really well, because I really want her to. But oh my gosh,
well, I think feel like her confidence is coming from a place of like having overcome so much in life, especially compared to the other lawyer to her left. Like I just feel like she is like really not afraid to like go there. Like I feel like her life experience is going to make her like not afraid to play boldly, play strongly. I really like her vibe, like her energy too, Beth. I totally agree. And one of her hobbies is hot yoga, which I don't know. I feel like that's like a good thing to practice before like living on an island for 26 days. I don't know. But yeah, I
sounds like the worst form of exercise. Go into these poses, and because I just don't like even standing on a subway platform and just sweating. Could you imagine also trying to do like a pose with that? Like, oh.
I used to do hot winter before I moved to New York, and pro tip, like do it during the winter so that like when you leave, like walking outside like feels like so like.
I bet you can also see the steam come off you too.
Yeah, but so props to anybody that does hot yoga, because that shit is like no joke. All right, well, Beth, go ahead and give us your next pick.
I think I will go for Austin Li Coon at this point as well. You know, he's somebody who I haven't chosen for other drafts as well, and I do think that he seems obviously physical, which quite frankly, my draft team needed a little bit of that. Even though we're only doing for winter, I like to have my bases covered. But I also just think too, like he just seems like with that smile, like he seems genuine. Like he seems like he's going to be someone that people can get along with. He doesn't seem too broy. He identifies a lot with Owen. And as long as he doesn't have Owen's game, then I think that he'll, be doing well. Love you, Owen. But my goodness, it was like, constantly having the football pulled from you, I think was the way that you called it from Charlie Brown. But I'm hoping that, maybe he's going to be able to pull out some key immunity wins. He's going to be seen as a someone who's valuable for his tribe. So I don't see him leaving early in this game. And I'm hoping that we also get to see some, cool gameplay from him. Anytime you see anybody who's in school, I'm always interested to see like, okay, were you a student of the game as well? And can you take that into account when you're on the tribes? So I'm interested to see what he does here. I think he'll be fun.
I loved his answer about like his like biggest inspiration, because I feel like literally everybody just always says their parents and it's so boring. But he said, aside from my parents, maybe Naruto. That ninja never gives up no matter the obstacle. When I need to dig deep during some of these willpower challenges,
woman.
dig deep, woman. He'll say, dig deep, Naruto, and just channel that energy, right? Like I love that he's like an anime nerd. Like, gotta love that. Also, he said in his video, he was like, I'm looking to find my Amber this season. So he's like looking for like a showmance maybe, question mark. I don't know.
Ooh.
I'd be happy with a showmance. Look, love a Naruto fan, so I'm very happy with that. I really like Austin. I think that like of the people that has what it takes to win the game, very high up there. But I see that, and I think everyone else is going to see that. That's my problem with Austin. I feel like he is just the picture perfect version of what you should want in a Survivor player, and I don't think that's going to go unnoticed. I struggle to find an alliance that he is going to like not be an obvious target in. And you know, there are many cases of people in the past, you know, pre new era, I would say, where they like were the top member of their alliance or the most obvious member of their alliance and converted that into a win. I think it's been not necessarily the case over and over here. It's a little bit, but you know, not necessarily. So I think that I am straying away from what otherwise seems like such a easy number one pick.
That's a really good call.
All right. Well, I have the next two picks to complete my draft team here. So my first one is going to be Brando from Seattle. He is a software developer. He's been watching since he was 10 years old. I really liked that he said he really identifies with David Wright, like just that kind of like transformation of like nerdy underdog to like superhero out on the island. Like that's kind of like what he's like visioning for his Survivor experience. But he said he wants his alliance member to cover his weakness in the game, which is going to be like physical competition. So I feel like we're going to see Brando try to like find, like I could see him and like Austin like pairing up as like an alliance and doing some damage in this game. So I don't know. I really liked his answers. I liked his vibe. Like he's 23 years old, but he feels so much more mature than that and smart than that. But he doesn't give off like big like nerd energy like Drew perhaps. I don't know. I'm just getting like good vibes from him. So Brando is my next pick.
Yeah, I don't really know how to read him too well, to be honest with you. I feel like just based off of like the little bit of a bio and a photo, because we know that that's just what I do. I'm not getting a good read as to whether or not I feel like he's going to be super social or not. You know, when you're a software engineer, a lot of the time you're not interacting with a lot of people in like your jobs, right? And so then you also get taken away from all the tech and such, you get put onto an island. So I think about things like that. I think about I think that can be endearing for some people, where people are like, oh, I want to take you under my wing and that kind of thing. I don't think he's going to have the same issue that Scally was just saying for Austin, where he's going to be like the obvious, like first, target from different alliances. Or I don't think that he's necessarily going to be the power player of an alliance, but he could develop to be one later in the game. And if he does that, I think anybody who does that, obviously does really well. So I really hope that he does well. I think he has a lot of really great aspects to bring to the game. But I'm just worried about if when you have a software engineer, I always just worry about that social aspect of the game. Not because I don't think software engineers are social, putting it out there, but just because when you have a job that requires that you sit behind a desk and don't talk to people that often, it can sometimes affect the way that you're
gonna get canceled on Twitter by all of our.
I hope so. By people from Connecticut.
I don't think this is what Beth said that's going to get her canceled.
yeah, I know. I was just like, there's like 6,000 things.
The entire state of Connecticut.
The entire state of Connecticut, CrossFitters, whole nine yards,
just everything on my team. Yeah. Scally, what do you think about Brando?
I was fine with the principle.
True. You're right.
I'm so nervous for Brando. I want good things for him, but I see a lot of red flags where I'm just looking at, I know this is a young cast, but 23 just still feels so young, and it doesn't feel like 23 and Sophie Clark. It feels like 23 and some of the other younger players that we've had along the way. I think that he's not going to stand out as like the big threat immediately, but I do genuinely worry about like early to first boot on this tribe for him. I think that in the new era where there has been so many women going early, and that's been such a public talking point, if you are going to like rally against that, I think Brando ends up unfortunately as like a kind of easy target and like compromise in order of like, we'll vote a man first. It'll be Brando. And I think that even if he does make the merge, he then like, sure, he's not going to be the biggest threat, but it is kind of a, how did you get here? Like, what did you do in order to get here, Brando? Because it's not like you were like, so like, it's not going to be carrying the challenges. He might not be like bad at all, but he's not going to be carrying them. And so I think people will question like, how good are you socially? How good are you strategically? And like go from there. I want great things for him. I think that he has obstacles coming his way.
All right. Well, my last pick of the night, locking in my draft team here. And I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly, but I'm going to go with Sabiyah as my last pick. Like her energy in like the video interviews reminded me so much of the Michaela that we're getting on the Challenge All-Stars 2. And I've just loved like just her like development and like growth as like a character like over the years, and I feel like Sabiyah like matches that like energy that I'm just like loving from Michaela right now. She's been active duty in the Marine Corps for 4 years, so I feel like we're gonna get some tough like G.I. Jane, like Missy from Survivor 39 kind of energy. And Missy did make it pretty decent. She made the merge at least. And she did mention that she loves Suri in her bio, so that's always a +1 in the points for me. So Sabiyah, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Sabiyah, thank you. But that is my 4th pick.
I think she's completely underrated. I've seen a lot of people who, like, even in like one of the drafts that Scally and I are both in, where they just kind of were like, oh, here's some people that we think would probably be top picks for the season. Here's some people who would probably be lower picks. Like, she's always in the lower picks, and I don't understand that, because I see she probably would have been my last pick. So I'm definitely with you. I think that she'll bring a good competitive energy to the game.
I know she's Rob's winner pick. I think there's a ton of upside here with Sabiyah. I feel like there are so many positives. The only red flag that I had with her was I remember hearing like, I believe she said something along the lines of like, when I get to the end, like there's going to be no doubt I'm going to play the game like in such a way that like you have to give me the money. And that's great if you do get to the end, but I think if you are playing the game in such a way that everyone knows they have to give you the money, then maybe they might not let you get to that point to have to give you the money. So that's my only concern. But otherwise, I feel like she's super well-rounded. I think that she is set up pretty well in her tribe, and I don't see her going necessarily very early. Maybe a late merge, but I don't see early merge for Sabiyah. But I definitely think she's in contention to win here.
I think so.
All right. Well, Beth, it's your turn.
I'm trying to choose between 2 people, and I don't know who to go for.
Well, you don't get another pick, so you can talk it out.
That's true. Well, I feel like rolling the dice.
Ooh.
But not the shot in the dark. No. Actually, I feel like this is kind of like a shot in the dark. Just given the history of what has happened with women in the beginning of the past few Survivor seasons, and just generally within the history of Survivor, I think I'm going to go with Julie. I love having someone who is kind of an older figure on the cast. Older women on the cast have traditionally not done super well, right? But we have notable exceptions, especially in older Survivor and such. And I don't know. I just really get a good vibe from her. She just seems like, I think that she'll, I don't know. I wish that I had Allison here to talk about Brentwood, Tennessee, so that it would be like, okay, what do you know about it? Because I need to know. Because like sometimes I look at these people and I go like, okay, I know where that area is in New Jersey. I'm going to make a snap judgment. Or I know where this place is in upstate New York. I'm going to make a snap judgment. Or this place outside of Boston or whatever. But I don't know Tennessee that well. And I was really wrong last season when I was, or 2 seasons ago. And I don't know. I just feel like an estate attorney. You got someone who's another kind of attorney here who's having to deal with people's estates and such. Like, you have to be decisive. You have to have a backbone. She's going to have years in experience that I think will absolutely aid her in this game socially. Not to mention that if you have I'm putting it out there. If you have a Southern woman who is potentially at times coming across like a motherly figure, people are going to like it. Or you have a Southern woman who's coming off as sassy, people are going to like that as well. I feel like if she has a dynamic of enough personality, which I feel like she probably does, I think that she's going to do really well socially. I could see her do well strategically, and I could see her go pretty far in the game.
I feel like she's like, I was really high on Lindsay in Survivor 43 in the preseason.
That's who I was thinking.
Like, yeah, and I feel like Julie is gonna be a more
pulled together socially and strategically.
Yes,
not
exactly,
lose it.
Exactly. And like I feel like Lindsay's circumstance for going was like, I feel like the target just kind of like landed on her. So I hope
put that target on herself.
Yeah, that's true. I was really like, I really liked Lindsay, so I don't want to like say too many bad things about my like random favorites, but yeah, like I liked Julie's energy. I feel like it's like very like, she doesn't seem like the like older person in the cast. Like, she definitely has like a more youthful energy, so that can definitely help her out. But her whole inspiration for being on Survivor was the theme of Survivor Second Chances. Like, she absolutely loved Survivor Cambodia. That's my one of my favorite seasons of Survivor. So, girl, like, we're on the same page there. Yeah, I just I get good vibes from Julie. I like her.
I love her. So, Beth, I don't know if you know, she actually went back to school and became an attorney at 40 after a divorce. So she has like had a total life change, and I think that like she seems awesome and motivated and great. I think one way, I believe it was Mike Bloom, described the season is a cast who a lot of them kind of seem like they could be the first boots of another season. So it's like a season of first. He said like almost maybe the closest we'll get to a Survivor first boots season, which
with all new players except for Bruce.
Mike, love you. That's a little shady, but
that's mega shady, and I'm here for it.
It's funny, and I think that a lot of them, I don't know if they would agree with it, but they maybe like take like the jest. But so I think with Julie, I would normally worry, again, not about her age, but her age compared to the rest of the cast. But I think that there's a couple people on her tribe that could go before her if they were to lose an immunity challenge. And it also seems like a pretty strong tribe. So I think that I feel better about her starting position than I might in many other cases. Sure. And I like her just like as a person and as a potential player very much. So I am pretty high on Julie. I like the pick.
Okay.
All right. Well, Scally, go ahead and give us your last pick of the night.
This is so hard. I could go with someone that I feel like is kind of safe, and has, I think, a decent shot, or someone who I think is like kind of red flags, but I love him. So I'm very torn. Like, do I want to pick? I don't know. I really like both of them. I'm going to go with the heart pick here, and I'm picking Kaleb.
Okay, so Kaleb was not one of the two I was choosing, but if I had a third, like...
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us why Kaleb.
Kaleb is so, everything I've gotten to gather off of Kaleb, it seems like so much fun. Like, and like true with many people on this cast, definitely my draft team. I feel like I was just drafting friends. Like, I thought Kaleb is so funny, so cool, so likable, but it seems like people are already realizing that everyone else thinks that too. And so while I was saying, like, I think it's going to be impossible not to realize that other people are big threats, I think Kaleb is realized as a big threat on day one. Now, I think that there is winner potential there. I think that if he manages to make it through by some grace, Kaleb really could do well, and I think that he is set up pretty decently. I think that he's rather physical comparatively to this cast, so I think that he'll be like, not an obvious early boot by any means, but I'm excited to watch Kaleb play more than anything, and if he were to win, I want him to win on my team, so I'm going Kaleb.
I'm getting like major like troll vibes from him in like the best way possible. Like every like answer and like in the video interview, he's like, "Oh, I like know I'm a fraud, but like it's fine, like it's fun, like we're just gonna like go with it." And like I love that he's like going into this like so carefree, like I don't really care what happens, but like we're just gonna have fun along the way. We always love like a character or two like that in the season, so. So I think this is a great pick. This is going to be a really fun character to watch this season.
I also think that he's clearly, just from like his bio, he has a whole bunch of different interests and backgrounds. So I feel like he's going to be able to bond with so many different people about really random things. And just like I tell students all the time with like cover letters and such, it doesn't matter on paper what you look like. It matters how you connect with people. And that's the best way that you can network in the professional world. It's the best way that you can network in a game like Survivor. Having those little mini connections that make it hard for someone to write your name down and make them want to defend you. I think that he's going to have that energy. So he was somebody I also was highly considering putting on my draft team as well. I think it's a great pick.
I'm still nervous. Look, I really, really like him, but I don't know. I think that like personally, you might find it hard to write his name down, but I could see him pissing a couple people off like strategically. I think this is someone who also could be playing too hard early on, and that makes me worried. But like I could see this just like a world in which the tribe is like, he's got to go. Yeah. Like we all see what he's doing, right? Like it's not benefiting any of us to keep him here. But if he chooses to play the game on hard mode and it works, like what a fun winner. That seems great. And there are still people on the board that like, while I think they are a little bit safer choices to make it far, I don't know if I see them as likely to win. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next we're going to go ahead and start drafting Allison's team here. So how this is going to work is Allison's winner pick is actually still on the board. So we're going to give her that one first. And then I will pick one for Allison, Beth will pick one for Allison, and Scally will pick one for Allison.
I like this.
And that will leave our two undrafted players here. So
we could be shady. We could be
right. We can like sabotage the hell out of Allison's team.
But she's being a good person. It's so hard.
I know. But like the Scorpio in me is like, let's like be a little competitive here. Okay, so Allison's winner pick is Kendra. So Kendra is
that is a choice. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In the chat, hey guys, it's Allison. I found a sick baby kitten in the backyard. I'm at the ER vet with him. I think he's going to be okay. Don't be shady.
So Allison's winner pick here is Kendra. She's 31. She's a bartender. She's bartended for 12 years, which like that's a lot of experience for a bartender. And I'm sure she's had to deal with all kinds of different people that she has to like schmooze and stuff. She backpacked like all throughout Spain, which I thought by herself, which I thought was very impressive too. She mentions Amanda, Michelle, and Kim Spradlin in her profile, so like those are all three like really great names to mention. She's also a big Carolyn fan too, and she's our astrologer. Well, she's not an astrologer, but like she's big into astrology. So there you go, Beth.
There we go. I change it. Put her on my team. No, just kidding. The only thing that makes it, this is why I like doing like Big Brother, especially like BB Can drafts, is they always put the star signs in there. So I'm like, oh, now I can go off a picture and star signs. Here we go. But no, I think that's great. I just, there's an energy I get from her photo that just seems like I just don't think she's going to get good social footing in the game. I don't know what it is. I think that bartenders have to absolutely know how to make tips and that kind of thing, right? But they also sometimes have to have more assertive personalities that don't rub people the right way, especially if they're drinking. And so she might be more accustomed to something like that. And there's just something, I hope that I'm wrong, because I think that she looks fascinating as a person, but I just feel like she just gives off an energy that she's not going to be willing to work with people if they're not doing what she wants. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel.
And Allison saying she didn't pick a guy first. Yes,
it's a rarity. No.
All right, Scally, what do you think about Queen Kendra over here?
Kendra's in contention to be I do a meme on Twitter every season of a usually wacky, sometimes just like fun character, and celebrating that they didn't get voted out every time. And Kendra's in contention for that because I do think that she's going to be a little bit of a wacky character. But there are also a lot of contenders here in terms of like who I like, so I'm not set. But I just think that Kendra, I like what she said about being a bartender, and so she has to deal with people that she does not like on a regular basis, but you get to clock out of being a bartender eventually, and you are not clocking out on this island. I think even if she like puts it to great work and gets it like all the way through the game, I just, from these interviews, am not seeing a world in which these people look at Kendra and be like, this is who I want to win our season and represent our season, and this is who I'm okay with having beat us. Not that like, you know, maybe they will, but I just think that like they're going to more likely sway a different way. So that's why I do have Kendra very low on my personal board.
I have her lower too.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and draft my first pick for Allison.
It's your first pick?
Yeah, I'm going to give her Bruce.
Okay.
So the returnee from last season. So, of course, he had to be medevaced after the first challenge, but glad to see he's doing okay. I have to give her the one that has, like, the most Survivor experience out of anybody here, right? Even if it's just like 12 minutes on the first episode. But I was reading through his profile again, and I remember that he said that Jeremy Collins is his inspiration. Jeremy's like one of like the best winners of all time. So I think that's a really good foundation for your game. And I feel like being like the returning player, like, he will have an opportunity for people to like ask him like questions about Survivor and kind of like have those inroads to like make those first connections with people. And plus like he wasn't on long enough for people to really like know like anything about like how he would like play the game or anything. So I feel like you have the upside of like familiarity, but none of the downside of like having your resume as a player exposed to everybody.
I really like having Bruce back. He's still kind of an unknown entity, so I don't feel like people are gonna be like, oh, he's getting a second chance, we gotta vote him out immediately. So I don't feel like he's gonna get, I don't know if this even technically would be a Francesca situation, but I don't think that he's gonna be like first out. I think that he's gonna be a benefit to his tribe in terms of challenges. I think that he's I think he's gone through all of this so much before that he's going to be more prepared and settled. And I think that that's going to really help him in those first, crucial first few votes that he might have to go to.
I love Bruce. He was who I was considering taking with my other pick. So I really thought about it. I thought Bruce was the safer pick here. I think there's no world in which they get rid of him super early. I think everyone is going to feel too bad about that, first of all. And I think that also, like, he's just someone that I didn't see going early, even if he didn't have that sympathy factor for, like, returning in this way. I'm very curious, like, him being the only person who is a quote unquote returnee from this cast, is that still going to make him stick out in the end game as like, othering him a little bit and like making him a target, or like, we played the game with him for 20 days this far. Like, does that really matter at this point? Or,
right.
13 days by the merge. So like, does that matter anymore? I don't know. I think it's a potential red flag where I could see people like not forgetting about Bruce as much as they would have otherwise because of that. But he felt like a safer pick to make it pretty far. So I like Bruce. I almost went there.
Yeah. I've chosen Bruce on other drafts and such. I think he's a really solid pick.
And Allison's giving me shit in the comments being like, you picked the medevac person?
This was
Allison,
nice.
This is a good pick.
This is a good pick, for sure.
Trust me.
If he does go first, that would be fucking funny.
There's no world.
I don't think he goes first at all unless he gets medevaced again, and like that is.
Don't even put that in the world.
It's not. Well, it's already happened, so I can't change the past. I'm not that powerful.
I don't want to hear it.
I'm sorry, I can't change the past.
Okay. All right. Well, Scally, go ahead and give us Allison's next pick. I think I messed up the order of this, but I'm just gonna give this to Scally here.
Oh my god, I'm debating if I want to be shady. I think something about me is that I am often very shady, and I'm very competitive. So thing is, there's a lot of good people in this cast, so I don't know if there's a way to be super shady. Because I don't think there's like terrible picks on any of this board. Now, I am looking, knowing that if someone were to get medevac or quit, which I don't think they will, who would I like to end up on my team? So I'm like, maybe I don't give them Allison.
That's a good call. I hadn't even considered that portion.
Allison, we haven't met yet, and I really applaud you for what you're doing, but I'm a little less bad about it. So let's go. Let's do it. Let's go, Drew.
I knew it. I was sitting there. I was like, he's going to do Drew. It's going to be great.
Wait, who is it? I'm sorry.
We're going Drew.
All right.
I'm nervous.
Scally, why is give us the scoop on Drew. Sorry.
I'm nervous for Drew. Drew is again 23. He is twice the height of everyone else on his tribe. He says it in the opening minutes of the episode. He is smart and he knows it, and he talks about it. The thing is, I forgive a lot of what people say, because even in the early episode, really even in confessionals, but in the early episodes in the press and stuff, when they say stuff that sorry, Allison.
First name gen everything in the chat.
Even in the press and everything else, I think they're still very much in pitching themselves mode. And they're like, I'm still in casting. What if I say something different than was the archetype that I pitched myself as, and I get cut from the cast and the alternate comes in because I don't keep playing along with this character. But I'm one of the smartest person you've ever had on Survivor, and I'm not afraid to say that. It's just a fact. It's not my favorite thing to come out of someone's mouth. Even if it's true, it's just eh. So and I don't know if it's going to be the favorite thing for any other person's. So who knows if it is. I doubt it's how he speaks in real life, and I'm sure that he said he's very good. He thinks he's going to be very good socially, and maybe that's true and great. So I could see Drew doing well, and I don't think that he has the worst winning chances on this. I just do think he has the highest chance of going home early of who's left.
That's how I feel too. And I love that you bring up the whole thing about I'm still playing the production game to get onto the cast. For background information, Steve Moses said almost nothing that came across on that as his bio of oh, Steve manipulated his teachers into thinking he was. I was like, no, Steve is just an actual genius. That's he never manipulated a teacher into giving him a good grade. Also, Steve was also just always in the classroom to the point where teachers were like, get the fuck out of here. We have other things we need to do other than just entertain, the 17-year-old. So I definitely agree that it is not unlike CBS production to be continue on with this archetype and then go play the game. So with that in mind, I think that's an important reminder. I do think I think he probably comes across maybe a little less confident than the Brando pick that Tyler had. I feel like there's, maybe this is just the difference between being in grad school and being in a job. I don't know. I think that if you haven't had a professional job and have found yourself in that way, maybe that's different. Maybe that's unfair. I always think of things through the eyes of people in their careers, just because I'm so married to that in my day-to-day life. But I don't know. I think, again, I agree with Scally. I don't think that he's has no winner equity or anything. I just don't think that. I think he has more of a first boot equity, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's what hurts him is he is so clearly the nerdy super fan. You know what I mean? Like he is like copy paste archetype for that. You know what I mean by that?
Wrote, this guy is going to get bit by a mosquito and get airlifted.
Oh, well then you'll get replaced by one of the people who I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
We got you covered. We got you.
Not that I don't like Drew.
Right. And his big like claim to fame isn't even something that's like super applicable to a good Survivor player. He was a trivia national championship winner in 2019. Like knowing like random trivia is not really helpful for Survivor ? He did say that he has experience working in sales, so at least he has some like
that is important
people like people skills. But I don't know. I'm reaching at straws here. Sorry, Allison.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Beth, go ahead and so this is the last pick of the night. So you're picking the last person for Allison's team, and then that will leave the 2 undrafted people.
Okay, so Allison has her winner pick, a good pick in Bruce, who's clearly not going to get voted out anywhere towards the beginning. A potential first boot. I mean, at this point, 18 people are potential first boots. So
never know.
I think I'm being nice, but it could easily turn into, oh wow, this is not nice. And I'm actually going to give her the other person I was considering for my team, because I also think this is a slight dice roll just based off of some of the vibes off of the bio. I'm going to give her Emily. Emily, to me, as an investment analyst and describing herself as direct and aggressive, I think can either yield this person is willing to make any and all moves necessary for the game, but it also could be this person has completely alienated themselves, or even within like their own alliance, like they're the person that they're like, Emily's trying really hard to like run this vote and I don't want to be told how to vote. Like I feel like she's going to be potentially that person. And we've seen those people go really far, but they also tend to go at like 8th place. And so I hope she's able to overcome that. I think obviously if you're an investment analyst and you're a 28-year-old young woman doing that, like you were very much in a male dominated field as well. That has a growing number of women in it, of course, but there's a certain level of like scrappiness that she's probably going to have, and assertiveness that is either going to be, or it probably is going to be both a detriment and a benefit to her game.
Yeah, I did love that she's comparing herself to Chaos Cast. Like anybody that like. I love Chaos Cast, so like that's like always gonna be like a good thing to hear.
A way to your heart.
Yes, exactly. But she went to university in Shanghai, China, which is like very interesting too. And like she's like in her bio, she talks a lot about like I want to live a more interesting life, and like if going to university in Shanghai, China. From Laurel, Maryland, which is not a big town at all. If you don't consider that like a more interesting life, like I can't wait to see like the adventure that she's going to try to get out of this experience. I also like this one quote that she says. She says, "I'm not religious, but I'm guided by my own very strict sense of right and wrong." I think that's a great way of saying something like that. So I don't know. I'm thumbs up on that.
Her right and wrong might be really fucked up.
Well, right.
I feel like, I don't know. A little murder's fine, you know?
Allison says, Emily is the type A I bitch to HR about. Thanks, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
There you go.
Emily,
you know what? If she wins, though, that would be so funny, Allison.
She started like kind of low. Just first reaction, the like, I have the strong sense of what's right and wrong. I can't hold my tongue. I do this. And I was like, I'm a little nervous here. Again, fun personality that I am excited to tweet about all season, but I was not exactly sure how she was going to fit in. Then I did rewatch the first impressions real quick, and I see that Emily's talking about how she's eyeing someone who we have not yet picked in Hannah, who I think is a pretty okay pick, and how like, oh, she seems pretty cool. Hannah's talking about how, oh, there's this girl, Emily, that seems pretty cool, and they're on a tribe together. So, I mean, as long as Emily is not like majorly overly direct initially. I think there are a couple bonds for her on that tribe that could form. So she is someone that I think, as she says in, again, the first opening couple minutes, like, if I'm not the winner, I would rather be the first boot. I'm wasting my time every second that I'm not, like, if I'm not winning. So I think that she is
Spoken
going
like
to
a
be
true
focused.
finance.
I think that she is going, I mean, it's not that you get to go home, Emily. You're going to be sitting at Ponderosa wasting time. So, but sure, do whatever you want.
She'll be in a comfortable bed with air conditioning and food. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I have long said that if I make it to jury and I'm not going to win the game, I'd rather be the first juror because I get to still be on television every single week, looking fierce as fuck as I walk out. I'm like, what's up, everybody? I showered and y'all smell. And then I also get to, like, eat and all that fun stuff.
Those payouts only include if you were on the beach for the episode. So as a finance person, maybe she should rethink. But I don't know. I think that Emily, like, is, again, always going to have her head in the game, really just, like, never take her focus off of winning. And I think that that will serve her very well. So I'm excited for her.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have our 2 undrafted people. I think let's pick the order of them. So like whoever gets, like, medevaced first, like, we know.
No,
like,
I think whoever gets medevac, if there is somebody who gets medevac or quits or something like that, they get to choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, who do we want to talk about first? Should we talk about,
Let's talk about Hannah. We just mentioned Hannah.
All right, cool. Let's do it. So Hannah is from my hometown, Baltimore, Maryland. She is 33. She's a therapist. She says she identifies with Aubrey Bracco. She's into musical theater and her Peloton bike. And she turned sober when she was 20 years old. So I feel like it's giving, like, Carolyn knockoff energy here. You know what I mean?
Wish.com version.
Like, I feel like the Survivor producers obviously loved Carolyn last season, and, like, how can you not, right? Like, she's like lightning in a bottle. So how can you not try to, like, recreate that magic? But I feel like it's gonna be like how they wanted, like, another Tony, and they found Joe for Survivor 35. Like, that's what I feel like we're gonna get here with Hannah this season. I don't know. I'm not feeling it like I was feeling Carolyn.
I normally love therapist picks. Those are always people I go for, but I think there's something in the way she seems younger than she is. Like, she's 33, but she comes across like, and this is both, like, praise your genetics, girl, but also, like, just the way I'm, like, reading her bio and everything, it comes across like, Carolyn, what you order online, Hannah, what you get when it arrives. Nice. It comes across like she's still trying to figure herself out in a way that, like, I'm not saying 33-year-olds aren't doing that. I think we're all going to be trying to figure ourselves out. But I think that I'm used to therapists having almost like a maturity that invites people in and, like an empathy hug, so to say. And I'm not getting that feeling from her. It's not to say that she doesn't have that. Of course, I've not watched the videos, so you can tell me I'm wrong completely. But there's something there that I just kind of feel like is just off for me. Like, it doesn't fit what I expect. And that could be a very good thing for her, that if she's not giving what people expect. But I don't know. I don't have really too much more to say in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that coming off younger is going to be a good thing on this cast. I think that is probably going to help. I had Hannah relatively high on my board. And do I feel like I know Hannah well? Like, no, not really. I don't really get the personality type. Like, I don't think, like, maybe there are some similarities in their backgrounds with Carolyn, but I don't think that I get, like, the similar personality at all necessarily. If I were to name this cast, like, from top to bottom, and I was to forget about someone, and this is not meant to be shady, I might forget about Hannah. And I think that's a good thing. I think that you want to be forgotten about, though. Like, I think that you don't want to stand out. I think that you want to just, like, be along for the ride and be able to make moves and not necessarily have that raise your threat level as much. So I think that she could do okay. She was seen playing, I believe Hannah was the one seen playing Pokemon on a Game Boy in the Ponderosa. And a couple people flagged that up as, like, oh, she seems cool. So I think that the vibes are right for Hannah. I think that it could go well. I would have considered picking her if this had gone different.
All right. If I go to Ponderosa, I'm like in the pregame. I now know I'm going to do this. Bring this fan with me, my little Charmander one, and just be like,
We do have
it's
a lot
so
of gamers
hot out
on this
here.
cast.
Oh,
There's this
no.
one girl who is a giant anime fan.
This one girl who has like this Pokemon fan, and then another one that says "Oh, honey," so she must be a Trixie Mattel fan as well. Like, who is this?
Look, and she's serving, but it's a lot of aggressive eye contact going around right now.
She is just looking at us like. Everyone's like, I wonder if she's looking at us like that when we're sleeping at night. That's sketch.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, so here's our last person to talk about tonight. And I'm sorry again if is it Sifu?
I think so.
Sifu. All right. Well, I don't think he deserves to be last pick of the night by any means. Like, I thought he was, he gave a really great first impression. He's 30 years old. He's a gym owner. He does a lot of outreach for underprivileged kids and kids with autism. He's big into Tai Chi. He started studying when he was 6 years old. And he is a world champion in push hands, which I had to Google. It is a form of Tai Chi where it's a lot of like this type of stuff. I don't know. I was just like Googling like pictures of it. But he's another anime lover too. So I feel like there could be this like anime alliance brewing possibly, question mark. I don't know. I like him. I like
the nerdish thing of all. Could you imagine the nerdiest thing of all time? They're like, well, and then we have this one alliance that all bonded over anime and decided like that's incredible. We're at the time and age where this is a reality for sure, and I love it.
And he's on the same tribe as Austin. So
yeah.
And like J Maya's there, like she's a little bit of like her music is like nerd pop. So who knows? I don't know what references she knows.
Yeah. I think if there is a medevac and Sifu gets like inherited, I feel like that's a really good person to like scoop up for your team. So
yeah, for sure. My issue is that anybody who ever says that their pet peeve is a liar, that's an automatic red flag. Because that tells me, like, do you know what the game you're signing up for? Like, do you know that you're about to enter a game where you really can't trust anybody? So are you going to go in trusting everybody and hoping that you don't come across a liar? You want it, like... I am very gullible. I am somebody who obviously, like, in real life... values trust, but you better believe if I'm going onto a bio or something, I'm not going to say that my pet peeve is lying.
Well, especially, I just think it's like it's a good pet peeve in real life, but if like catching someone a lie really bothers you and you catch someone in a lie on Survivor and that is going to close you off from working with them in the future, that's going to be a problem. I mean, who knows? Maybe it has no indication on how he's going to play, but you need to be able to keep as many doors open to you. And just because someone even, blindsided you in the last vote does not necessarily mean that they are not a valuable piece for you moving forward. Obviously, keep your guard up, but you should probably be keeping your guard up with all 17 other people there. So, if we're going to focus in on that liar part, just a potential red flag.
Yeah.
But I still have him in the top half of my board. Like, I think that Sifu is solid. It's another person who I think people are not going to forget about. I believe Kaleb nicknamed him Beefcake when talking about him. Like, he is not like the tallest man on the tribe, but he's muscular. Like, the man you're not forgetting about him. I think that he could find a nice home in there, like we said, with Austin through the anime connection. I am just curious. Like, people have noticed him doing his different Tai Chi exercises and stuff in the preseason. So I just think like there are too many eyes on him already. And like that is always concerning to me. But I think that he is going to be able to get to a point where like that won't matter as much anymore.
It's funny because I just sit here thinking to myself, if I ever, for whatever reason, got on a show like Survivor or Big Brother, Scally would be like, I'm not drafting Beth because she's only going to want attention on herself for the first few days. And like, it's fair because that's how I am. I'll be like,
where's the lie?
Guys, let me tell you this other story that happened. And then they're like, oh God, get her out of this.
And it's funny because we just came from a season where I was like very high on Jam Jam and Carolyn in the preseason, but for whatever reason, like there are things with Jam Jam and Carolyn where I just think that like though they are big personalities, there are other reasons why people were not going to take them as seriously as they should have.
Right.
And I think that Sifu doesn't have those things. So I think that he's going to be taken very seriously, and that they will, not forget about him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also think too that truly knowing your archetype and how to lean into that, like truly knowing how people really look at you and playing into that is huge. And when you have someone like Jam Jam or Carolyn who come from marginalized identities or come from situations where they might have had to overcome a lot, that is inherently going to give them a much more clear picture of how they come across to other people than the people who haven't had to necessarily go through those things. I'm not saying that Sifu hasn't. Obviously, as a person of color, he has. But I also think that there's a certain aspect, as I read, like, he's going to be undeniably himself and never unwavering in my pursuit. You compile that with like, I don't like liars, and I do Tai Chi, which is not just an exercise, but also has like a kind of a moral code that goes with that too. I just think that there's a lot there that if you're going to be unwavering, that is not necessarily going to help you in those moments where you might have to work with the people that you don't want to, or be fluid in the game.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. So this is our official draft for Survivor 45. We love to see it. How are we feeling about our draft teams now that it's like all set in stone?
I feel good about my draft team.
I love my team.
Yeah, I'm happy with my team too. And Allison got her winner pick, so
so she should be happy.
Yeah, but no, like overall, I think this is a very like well balanced cast. Like it's harder to find like your typical like classic like first boot this season. Like I feel like everybody has like a pretty good chance of doing very well this season. So I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. I think they also mentioned that the auction is returning this season as well, which is very exciting. I think Carson made a tweet, and Scally or Beth, like, feel free to like correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said like they had to wait like 45 minutes for like the water to start rising for that immunity challenge where they're like under the like the grate or whatever. So Carson spent that 45 minutes trying to convince Jeff that like it's time to bring the auction back and just like tweak a few things so that Shireen can't like break it again. So if that is Carson's influence in this game, thank you so much for that, Carson. we appreciate that very much. Yeah, and also the return of intro sequences this season. I cannot wait for that too.
Can they retrospectively do it for the other seasons too? Like,
really
come on.
Right? They should. They really should.
Which one? They released one of them online, but I loved every survivor being like, oh my God, I'm so happy for them. That's so exciting. And then I'm 99% sure it was Hai who was like, I wish this happened for me, not you. And I was like, yes, that's how I would be. Like, I'm pissed this didn't happen for me. I don't care about you. Why did I not get this?
That's the most Hai tweet like ever. That's hilarious.
Oh, man.
But no, I'm really excited for this season to start. We'll see how it all goes. Any other thoughts before we sign off?
Yes, we should mention the patron draft.
Yes.
So
I'll have that ready tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. So I know that Liza did check in. We only had 2 people sign up for the patron draft over the past few days, people. So that's sad. So what we're going to do is have Liza and Dominic, who are 2 that signed up for the draft, go against Tyler, Allison, and myself. And now how I did this was because it would be podcasters and then the 2 other teams, everybody will get 6 people on their team. I went back and forth between Liza and Dominic's top choices and crossed them off as we went along. And then the leftover 6 came to us as podcasters. So the following teams are what we've got. So for Liza, she has Brandon, Emily, Dee, Kelly, Sifu, and Kaleb. And so very much riding the Scally train there.
Drafted well.
That's right. Dominic has Hannah, Sabiyah, Austin, Bruce, Jay, Maya, and Katurah. And then podcasters, we have Jake, Kendra, Julie, Brando, Drew, and Sean.
All right.
Woo, woo.
I'm happy with our podcasters team draft.
I was just going to say, this is actually like a lot of Tyler's picks.
Yeah, right. Well, can't wait to see it crash and burn if it's anything like BB25.
Well, to be fair, actually, the podcast, like, I have Julie on my team, and then Brando, you have, right? And Drew, Allison has completely by her choice and not Scally's. And you have Sean. So, like, honestly, not too bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So that is our official draft. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the season premiere of Survivor. So we'll be live at 9:30 because it's a 90-minute episode. And then we'll be back on Thursday to talk all things nothing really happening in Big Brother 25.
I don't know. Alliances are starting to actually...
I know. I've like dropped the ball this week in terms of like really keeping up with it, just because like I'm just so frustrated that like,
yeah, I hear you.
The pace of the game is just so ungodly slow right now, and I don't know who decided this, but I don't know.
Oh well.
I don't know. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for like participating in the chat as well. I know we can like highlight as many things because I was like keeping an eye on the actual like draft itself. So thank you guys always for tuning in and chatting along with us as the show goes on. And Scally, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was so much fun. I'm glad that we finally got to do this, and I'm excited to see how the draft turns out. I can't wait to win.
Yes. And now, Scally, where can people find you if you would like to be found?
Ooh, I would love to be found. People can find me on Twitter at Brian_Scally, where I will post pretty much anything that I'm doing. I am also on Twitch at twitch.tv/BScally. And then I am regularly talking about the challenge over on the Dom and Colin podcast. So people should check that out with Matt Ligori. I'm talking sporadically about Big Brother here and there over on RHAP, and going to be covering the Traders Canada with Puya to talk about that whole season over on RHAP, so that'll be fun, as well as guesting on Nothing But Netflix with Chappelle to be talking with Chappelle and Rob to be talking about double checking, but I believe it's called The Devil's Plan, a new reality show from the makers of The Genius. So,
interesting. I hadn't even heard of that yet, so that's gonna be cool.
I know, I'm very excited as a big Genius fan, so people should watch it so we get a second season.
Yeah, there we go. Excellent. Tyler, anything from you?
Anything from me? I don't think so. Just it's like fall, like crazy, like wedding photographer season for me. So my mind is just in like a million different places right now. But
do you have a weekend available until Christmas?
Like my first free weekend date is November 5th. Like it is just like bananas like, until then. So yeah, traveling this weekend for a wedding. Nothing exciting, just to Maryland. So just like work. But it's all good.
Like
very
Rihanna
grateful.
Said.
Yes, exactly. Hashtag and very blessed, very grateful that I'm this busy. So, all right. Well, all right, everybody, have a good rest of your night. Take care, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Survivor premiere. Bye-bye.
Bye.